The place to start finding deals is in your market. The code for where you live. Don't try to go into new markets in the beginning. Now, if you shop new markets, other markets, shop it only to give you a comparison of your market. Shop where you live. Stay close to where you live. Start within the block that you live in. Like, if you can't walk there, if you're looking at deals for the first time, walk to it. The first market I ever shopped was within 10 miles, man. It was probably like, I would just do the neighborhood. Every day I drove home, I'm like, it's obvious, right? Shop where you live. For 3 years, every weekend when I wasn't working at my main job, where they paid me for my production, I shopped deals. I exhausted brokers in the market. I never even bought a deal. 3 years, every day, Houston, Texas, all of Montrose, north of 59 to the I-10, east to the Galleria, west to the Galleria, and east to the 59. And that's all I did was just stay in there and just shopped everything. I didn't buy anything. I wasted a lot of people's time, but not my own. I got a great education. By the way, if those guys would have stayed in touch with me, I bought more than they ever sold if they'd have stayed in touch with me. So I didn't even waste their time. Got a great education. I learned what a good deal feels like. This is really important. Nobody talks about this in real estate. How does it feel? Okay? Then other people, that's all they go on. You got to go with the feelings and support it with the logic. I realized after leaving Houston, I moved to California. I moved to La Jolla, California. I realized how much money I would have made had I invested because I continued to track those deals once I left. I saw what I thought was a lot of good deals, but at that time I wasn't ready. By the way, I did know what some good deals were. Oh, that one feels good. That one doesn't. That one's too small. That one's perfect. Okay? I knew that. I had that experience. I didn't have the confidence though. I had a little bit of money. I didn't have the confidence in the money to keep coming in. So I didn't invest it because I didn't have the confidence in how to use that money. That might be what's holding you up. Like I was at a conference recently, there was 1,000 people in the room. I'm like, how many of you have money in a 401k? It was all real estate investors. How many of you have money in 401ks? Half the room raised their hands. I said, because you guys don't have confidence in the apartment market. And they're like, huh? We're apartment investors. If you knew and believed in apartments the way I do, you would not have one penny in stocks. See, when I was in Houston shopping apartments, I couldn't pull the trigger on a great deal because I didn't have the confidence. That's why you got to start in your market. I didn't have the confidence because I hadn't done my homework, and you got to do your homework. Reading a book's not homework. Listening to me is not just homework. You got to go out now and walk properties. To know the difference between a bad deal and a good deal and a screamer. When I met my wife, I'm like, that's going to be a screaming deal. And I mean that. When I met my wife, I'm like, she's different than all the other women I've ever met. Okay, that's the one I'm keeping. What you'll learn from walking properties is 10x more valuable than what you will learn from reading my book. When I moved to San Diego, I realized I'd learned a lot and walked some very good deals. I'd missed some great deals. But rather than regretting what I didn't do, there's no money in that, I started shopping properties again in San Diego. Where did I start? Johnny, where do you think I started? Right there where I lived. After I'd exhaust everything in that little market, I'd look a little further. Oh, boy, I'd venture out. Hey, let's go over here, right? I was driving through downtown San Diego one day. My friend Dale was in the truck with me, and I was like, dude, it's here. I can feel it. I can feel it, man. This is the same exact feeling I had when I was in Houston. The feeling that struck me. The gods from the real estate heavens had opened the skies and they had dropped down on me and they had provided me with a sensation. I could feel it through my bones electrifying me saying, ching, 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 we're going to make some money. Now, you can't have that sensation if you're not looking. And even if you have the sensation, then you got to buy something. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money. I'm driving through downtown San Diego. I'm like, dude, look at this. You see the new cars starting to show up? Okay? You couldn't get a loan on an apartment deal at the time. There was more U-Hauls leaving the state of California than going into California. Okay? San Diego's a gorgeous community. This is 20 years ago. This is when California hadn't been people keep waiting for the tsunami to hit. The government is the tsunami that the Native American was talking about taking out the whole coast. Okay? I started buying real estate that week. I started buying my first deals in San Diego, California. My first deal was 48 units. The difference this time was between 3 years before that was I had confidence in multifamily, cash flow, NOI. I had confidence in reading a financial statement. I had confidence in understanding what the rent comps were. I knew what a good deal looked like, and more importantly, I knew what one felt like. I knew what bad deals were and how small deals couldn't work. I couldn't be tempted by the bad deals. Okay, and that's the difference, and that's where we need to get you. The bad ones are easy to know, and you got to know how to walk away from you. You immediately know. Oh, by the way, I was looking at cap rates of like 8% and that I could pass on and find one at 7. That was great. That would end up making me a lot more money. I immediately know, and you will too, what works, what doesn't work, what will work, what won't, what can get a loan, what can't, and what you can make money on in 3 to 5 years. And most importantly, if it don't feel good, then you don't buy it. Again, I was only in San Diego for a year when I bought my first deal. 48 units, Vista, California. It was blue, Cedar, I think it was called Cedar Woods, Cedar Point, I'm not sure. Cedar something. Cedar Cardone. I still remember driving up the first time. 2 stories, great presence from the road. Looked like it was a quality build. Nice space between a parking lot, the street, and the units. I knew immediately I'm buying this deal. I closed the deal in 45 days. And 30 days later, I bought 38 more units in Point Loma. And by the way, I drove over from the Point Loma deal, walked to the second floor. I'm buying this deal. 90 days after that, I bought my third true rental deal, 92 units, C-class, value-add property. I drove up to it, walked into the little place where the kids, get to go tear up the lawn. What's that called? The play area, right? I walked in, I said, oh, we buying this one for sure. Okay? Never even looked at a unit. 30, and literally in 1 year after I moved to San Diego, I had 38 units, 48 units, and 92 units, whatever that number is. Within 3 years, I'd collected over 500 units. Over the last 25 years now, bought and sold $1 billion worth of real estate. 8 different markets, 8 or 9. Through all types of economic climates, okay? What I know today, after doing this for years, is number one, apartments are the best investment for protecting your capital, providing dependable cash flow, and the combination of the opportunity to actually yield appreciation over long periods of time. 2, it's vital to know your market that you're investing today and looking forward 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. Like Detroit might be hot for another 2 years. But as a smart investor, you got to ask yourself, where will Detroit be in 10 years? 3, know the market starts with knowing where the deals are and who has them. Just because you think the market's great doesn't mean anything if you can't find the deals. Where you can find the deals, then you have to know who controls those deals. 4, brokers who have the deals that you want are CBRE, ARA, Cushman & Wakefield, Marcus & Millichap, Berkshire, HFF, a few private broker shops in each market. Oh, by the way, the Cushman guy in your market is not going to be the Cushman guy in my market. The ARA guy in your market might not even exist in mine. Okay? Hell, the firm might not exist in mine. Of course, there are also private sellers. There's off-market sellers. And then there's the institutions and the guys that hold big portfolios like me. By having the right technology, you can get access to the broker and owner, and the data they have is priceless. How you contact a broker, what you say to that broker, whether it's email, text, or phone call, is, by the way, an art in and of itself. And I'm going to include some scripts that I use and I train my people to use to actually contact brokers and sellers that you're going to find really valuable in our course. I learned very quickly the fastest way to get deals is to close deals. Don't make offers on deals and walk away. Okay? You will become like a venereal disease of real estate. No one will talk to you. No one will call you. No one will call you back. You will get the clap down, if you know what I mean. Be a closer. Stay true to your word. Have integrity when you enter a contract. And never violate the trust of the broker's market. Once the broker does not feel good about you, he will spread your name like a plague. Once the market knows you're a real buyer, on the other hand, a closer, like I am, the game of creating wealth through finding deals becomes possible for the first time. The broker network is very small. They're severely paranoid people. No offense, guys. And in most markets, only a few guys, maybe two, control the entire apartment inventory of that market. At least the good stuff. If they don't believe in your ability to close, your offer is never going to get to the seller. And even if it gets to the seller, he's going to say, we don't know this guy. We don't feel good about this guy. We heard some bad stuff about this guy. The fastest way to get a deal today is to close on your deals. In fact, the fastest way to get a deal is to go hard on a deal at LOI, close on that deal in the shortest period of time, and pay a little extra to get it. The right deal in the right location at the right time, held over long periods of time, that cash flow, and pay down debt cannot be bad deals. The brokers are very private people. They're highly competitive. Again, they're severely paranoid, not a little paranoid, severely for the most part paranoid. And let me just say this to the broker community, since I bash you with the paranoid thing. You're also the most underpaid group of real estate brokers in the world. Okay? These deals that I do, brokers are paid a quarter, a half, 1 point, 1.5 points. If they don't know you, by the way, they won't even return your phone call. Hey, even when they do know you, sometimes it takes a couple of days. Once you get them on the phone, you better be able to validate your story as a buyer. Also, always deal with the listing broker. Brokers will not like me for saying this, but I always only deal with the listing broker. Whoever controls the listing controls the deal. Find out who is controlling the inventory in your market. And just because a broker is the big guy in one market doesn't mean, again, that they represent well in another. Okay, the next thing you have to know is the market. When I say know the market, you think you know what I mean. Look, when I say know the market, I mean you need to know the economics of the market, job providers in the market, locations of the market, rents, concessions, expenses, the growing parts, the dying parts of the market, the politics of the market, the home prices in the market, the overall economic conditions, not just the economic conditions, the occupancy in the market, the cost of insurance, the flood zones, the salaries, the crime rates, the walk scores, the reviews, the concessions, the credit worthiness of the market, the demographics in your market, the competition, the history of the property going back 5 years or even longer. And that's just the short list, my brother and sister investors. You should also know what the buyer last paid for the property, how much debt they put on the deal, and how it performed. And you need to know how the property operated during those awful dark times they talk about in the Bible. You must know the existing management company's work ethic, in which most cases they ain't got any. That's an opportunity, by the way. The management company, did they even stand up when you walked in the room? Do they answer your phone? Do all phone calls go to voicemail? Does anybody ever call back? To know the service and to unveil the opportunities available to you in that market. You should walk the property during the day, during the morning, during noon, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, before the kids hit the place, after the kids hit the place, on the weekends. Roll up there about 3 o'clock in the morning and see who's partying. You should also mystery shop the property in person, on the web, and over the phone. Hit their Facebook page. That's a waste of money. When you're investing, there's a lot to research, okay? You need to know, don't guess. Listen to hey, by the way, if you want to guess, just buy some stock just close your eyes and pick something off one of the ETFs, okay, and the mutual funds. If you want to guess, man, go do something else. A lot of easier ways to invest and lose your money. Listen to everyone. Ask a lot of questions. Make sure that you know what the reality is, not someone's opinion. Okay, remember what Ronald Reagan said. It was from this Russian proverb made famous by the double R. Trust, but verify. When you ask a broker a question, you could ask him 3 times. I've been known to ask one guy the same question 3 times in one call, and then 2 days later talk to him again and ask him the same question that I asked him 2 days before, 3 more times again, different ways to see. And by the way, I might ask that 3 questions about different properties. Only to find out, finally, when I asked him the 11th time, all of a sudden he's like, oh my God, that deal? Oh my God. Now I also can match the tone of the individual responding. The amount of enthusiasm, okay? The least amount of effort they have to use to answer my questions, typically the more authentic the answer and the more real the answer. Oh, by the way, I'm not looking for people to lie to me. Most people don't lie to you. Most people don't even know when they're telling the truth or lying. I'm looking to know how much does that broker know about that market at that time against what this other person might know or not know. And then I gotta measure that against my own canvas of truth and ethics. Trust but verify.